Hi, I'm Lucy Del Priore, Director of School and Library at Macmillan Children's, and I'm here with the rest of the great School and Library team to talk about some of our upcoming fall titles. So for picture books, I want to talk about After the Fall, How Humpty Dumpty Got Back Up Again by Dan Santat. So most kids should know the story about Humpty Dumpty. Well, this is the story told by Humpty Dumpty himself about what happened after the fall. How though he was put physically back together again, he wasn't quite the same, because now Humpty was afraid of heights. So that meant he couldn't sleep in his loft bed, and he couldn't reach for his favorite cereal. And there's also no way he was getting back up on that wall again. And that made Humpty, an avid bird watcher, very sad. But eventually, Humpty made it back up on that wall again because he couldn't walk away from something he loved so much, his birds. So again, though Humpty was fearful, he persevered. And because of that, he was able to get over his fear, pick himself back up again, and literally reach new heights. Now, I'm not going to give away the ending here because this is a book I really do want you to read for yourself to see how literal I am being. This is from Caldecott Medal winner Dan Santat. He has put so many details and perspectives into his illustrations that this is a book kids and adults will want to look at again and again.
Hi, I'm Katie Halata, the Associate Director of School and Library Marketing at Macmillan Children's Publishing Group. Today I'm going to tell you about Through with the Zoo by Jacob Grant. This is a new and humorous picture book from the author-illustrator of Catnip and Little Bird's Bad Word. Here we have Goat, who lives in a petting zoo, but longs for some space of his own, away from the hugs and the tugs and the clinging hands of small children. Goat in particular is envious of the animals that get to live in the big zoo, in their own habitats away from the wild children of the petting zoo. So when he decides to go on a quest to find some space all his own, that's his first stop. Turns out the animals at the big zoo are just as clingy as the children of the petting zoo, and Goat needs to continue on his travels to find some space that he can call his own. His journey finally takes him to the top of a hill under a shady tree where he has more space than he knows what to do with. And it's there that he discovers that while it's important to take a time out and have some space to yourself, hugs and cuddles are just as important. I think adults, particularly parents, are probably going to relate to Goat's quest for some privacy and some peace and quiet, but young readers will also be introduced to an important lesson of keeping personal space and keeping your hands to yourself in a warm and humorous way.
Hello, my name is Summer Ogata, and I'm the Associate Manager of School and Library Marketing. My picture book pick is Goodbye Autumn, Hello Winter by Kennard Pack. This is a companion book to Goodbye Summer, Hello Autumn, which came out last year and helped us transition from summer to autumn, and now we're going to move along to winter. In Goodbye Autumn, Hello Winter, we follow a brother and a sister as they explore nature and take a stroll through their town, saying goodbye to berries, leaves, and a flock of cardinals before they fly south for the winter. They also get to see how the season affects the city that they live in, as they say hello to earlier sunsets, longer nights, and shadows that stretch farther and farther with each passing day. When it's finally time for winter, the children get to say hello to white blankets of snow, icicles, and the joy of building a snowman. All of Kennard Pack's art is extremely beautiful, but what I especially like is how he slowly fades out traces of autumn from his spreads. So while there are fewer and fewer autumn leaves on each spread, they never disappear entirely.
Hi, I'm Melissa Croce, and I am the marketing assistant for the school and library team here at Macmillan Children's. And this is How to Be an Elephant Growing Up in the African Wild by Catherine Roy. From the award-winning author-illustrator Catherine Roy, whose book Neighborhood Sharks was a Sybert honor, is another wonderful nonfiction picture book, this time exploring how to be an elephant. Roy simply and methodically goes through the different elements of a baby elephant's life, from family and herd structure, to the bone and muscle makeup that allows baby elephants to take their first steps, to the many uses of an elephant's trunks and ears. Roy also discusses the positive impact elephants have on their ecosystem in the African savanna, making them a keystone species, and she also gently touches upon the importance of land conservation. Roy utilizes stunning watercolor illustrations to show the beauty and biology of one of Earth's most beloved creatures.
For middle grade, I want to talk about The Real McCoys, written by the husband and wife team of Matthew Swanson and Robbie Bear. Fourth grade Moxie McCoy certainly lives up to her name. She's bold, opinionated, and thinks she knows everything there is to know about solving mysteries. But when her best friend moves away, she finds herself without a best friend and working solo as a detective. So soon enough, when the school mascot goes missing, Moxie is roaming the school looking for both potential suspects and a new best friend and sleuthing partner. Little does she suspect that her younger and much more patient brother Milton might just be everything she's looking for. This is a great whodunit story, and besides that, it's a fantastic package in that there are illustrations on every single page. And there's also a glossary and discussion questions so that kids can discuss and review the case with Moxie. This is a great book for mystery fans, reluctant readers, someone looking for a story about siblings and friendship, and also there's more adventures to come from the McCoys.
The Summer of O Todd by Tony Abbott. This middle grade novel takes place in Cape Cod during the summer before 6th grade for best friends Owen and Sean. At the beginning of the summer, the boys don't have a care in the world. The only thing that they're worried about is whether their baseball team is going to make it through the summer playoffs and if they'll have any spots on the beach once the tourists arrive. Then things take a serious turn for the boys when Sean's mom gets a job 2 towns over and decides that he needs to have a babysitter while she's at work. His mom hires Paul, who's a young man in his 20s. He's well respected in their Cape Cod community, but despite his good reputation, the boys feel uneasy around him. He has some interesting habits, some weird quirks, and things turn sinister when it's discovered that he is abusing Sean. Sean confides this in Owen and tells him the details of what's going on, but makes him swear that he won't tell a soul. Owen's then faced with the difficult decision of keeping this promise to Sean and not telling his secret, or breaking the promise and telling an adult what's happening and hopefully preventing any further abuse. This story is many things. It's a story about Cape Cod, about summertime and baseball and families, but at the heart, it's a gripping and heartbreaking story about friendship and the importance of speaking up and speaking out on behalf of the ones that we love, especially when they're in a situation where they can't for themselves. This is a powerful book that I think will stay with readers long after the final page turn.
My middle grade pick is Wish Tree by Katherine Applegate. You're probably familiar with Katherine Applegate from such books as Crenshaw and The One and Only Ivan, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Wish Tree, a book about a neighborhood, a new girl, and a tree that collects wishes. Our narrator from this book is Red, an oak tree that people wish on. Every year, people come to Red and write wishes on pieces of cloth that they tie to Red's branches. From a new bicycle to a work promotion, Red is a wish tree for everyone, until a new girl named Summer comes to town and moves into the house right in front of Red. And she wishes for a friend. But Summer's family is from somewhere far away and new, and one day someone comes up to Red and carves the word leave into Red's trunk, directly in front of Summer's house. Red and the tree's inhabitants, an assortment of families of raccoons, birds, and skunks, through a series of hijinks, try to grant Summer's wish and find her a friend. But it is the people in the neighborhood that find a way to welcome all newcomers, and Red's existence becomes more important than ever.
This is The Night Garden by Polly Horvath. From Newbery Honor and National Book Award-winning author Polly Horvath comes this magical story. Franny lives a relatively peaceful life on Vancouver Island during World War II with her parents Cinna and Old Tom. The creative family spends their time doing artistic endeavors. Cinna sculpts, Franny writes, and Old Tom tends to the many gardens around their large property. Franny is allowed to roam wherever she likes except the mysterious night garden, which has the power to grant one and only one wish, no matter the consequences. Their peaceful life is interrupted when their distraught neighbor begs them to watch her 3 children while she goes to the local military base to see her husband, who's been acting very strange lately. When Wilfred, Winifred, and Zebediah arrive, even more mysterious things start to happen, and it starts to look like the only way to make things right is to use the forbidden night garden. But are the consequences worth it? I read this book in only one sitting. Using a cast of quirky, lovable characters, Horvath has spun a tale that is both poignant and hilarious.
For young adult, I want to talk about The 57 Bus by Dashka Slater. There's no final cover for the book yet, but it's too important to not talk about the book. So this is the true story about 2 teens who happened to be on the same bus in Oakland, California one day, and because of that, both of their lives were changed forever. It's the story of Sasha, a white middle-class agender teen who was born as a boy and wears skirts, and Richard, a poor black teen with a lighter who did something he shouldn't have done. One reckless act that caused Sasha to be in the hospital with extreme burns and Richard to be charged with hate crimes and now serving time in prison. The author, Dashka Slater, is an award-winning journalist who first talked about this story for the New York Times. Here she presents the facts with first-hand accounts and official records to tell Sasha's and Richard's and their families' points of view and offering a riveting and insightful story with both distressing and hopeful moments. This is a book that can lead to so many different discussions about race, class, gender, and our judicial system, and how this isn't a simple story of right versus wrong. This is a memorable book that will stay with readers, much like the adult book, The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace.
Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. This is a contemporary YA that takes place in an all-girls high school during the senior year of our main character, Claudia. At the last party of the summer, Claudia unfortunately witnesses the breakup between her school's it couple, Paige and Iris, and instantly that puts her on Iris's bad list, which is not a place that Claudia wants to be, considering Iris is a notoriously prickly individual. Things go further south for the girls when they're forced to team up on a group project that requires their mandatory participation in the school's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream with a neighboring boys' school. However, it turns out that mandatory participation for Claudia is not such a bad thing. During this production, she's able to make friendships with girls she's gone to school with for the last 4 years but hasn't known very well, including Iris, who turns out to be a really great friend for her. She also catches the eye of Gideon Pruitt, who is a boy from the boys' school playing Puck in the production, and a new romance forms for them. For me, Emma Mills captures the quintessential high school experience like no other writer out there right now. The anxiety and the excitement and the anticipation of a new romance, the anxiety of making new friends but keeping your old friends, and that joyful feeling you have when you finally find a group of people who accept you for exactly who you are.
My young adult pick is Moxie by Jennifer Mathieu. Moxie is a book about feminism, fighting back, and how one unlikely teenager sparks a revolution in her small Texas high school. Our protagonist, Vivian, has always been frustrated with her small town, but when she witnesses a series of sexist events that the school administration appears to condone, she channels her rage and decides to look into a box that her mother has in her closet filled with Riot Girl zines and Bikini Kill albums. Vivian is inspired and decides to make a zine of her own called Moxie. She puts it in the bathrooms at her school and slowly but surely incites all the rest of the girls to band together, protest, and look out for one another. What I love about Moxie is that Jennifer Mathieu is intentional about Vivian's weaknesses as a feminist leader. Vivian is white, and at first she doesn't realize that white feminism has a history of being exclusionary, and she's called out on it in a way that encourages all of the girls at her high school and in my fever dream at high schools across the nation to find their place in the Moxie revolution. Because as they say in Moxie, they can't expel all of us.
This is Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. The author of the critically acclaimed When the Moon Was Ours is back with another spellbinding tale. For generations, the Nomio Vides women have used their magical botanical abilities to tend to the grounds of the estate La Pradera. However, with their magical powers comes a terrible curse. If the women fall in love too deeply, their lovers vanish. The 5 girls in the youngest generation think they've ended the curse when they all fall in love with the same woman, but when one of the girls, Estrella, finds a strange boy in the gardens, he brings with him the secrets and tragedies of his past, which are intertwined with the histories and fates of the Nomio Vides women. Anna Marie McLemore has done it again. Her prose is as lush as the garden estate, and she deftly explores themes of love, class, family, and immigration. This is a must-read.
And again, those are just some of the highlights coming this fall from Macmillan Children's. We'll hope you go to MacKids.com to read about more of our great books. Thanks.